What are some of the really bad decisions people will make? Let's find out, starting with number 5. Even in Hong Kong. 3 armed robbers stormed influencer Mei Yan's Hong Kong home and stole $480,000 after she flaunted her wealth online. Because, as we all know, you're not really wealthy unless you're bragging about it online, right? A late-night commotion in the living room woke Mei Yan up, and when she left her bedroom to see what that commotion was, because an unexpected commotion never ends up just being Santa, she discovered that 3 men had broken into her apartment. At the time, her son and her helper, which is basically a nanny who also does things around the house, were also in the living room. This wasn't looking like a good situation, considering 2 of the men were armed with a pipe and a small knife. Mei Yan watched as one of the strangers forcefully rubbed the baby's head, which was probably scary as hell, prompting her to quickly agree to giving them whatever they wanted. The intruders then forced Mei Yan and her 6-month-old son and his nanny into the nursery while they ransacked the house. They tied Mei Yan and the nanny up with tape to stop them from running away, and one of the intruders stood guard outside the room. However, the robbers struggled to find any cash, frustrating and irritating them. So one of them started using some, let's just call it, very coercive tactics to get Mei Yan to tell them where she kept all her money. She offered her luxury items instead of physical money, as the designer goods were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Mei Yan actually wriggled out of her restraints when the thieves left and called law enforcement. Police searched the area but couldn't find the suspects. Officers discovered that the men left with 10 purses, 7 watches, 2 cell phones, and a laptop, with their haul worth roughly $461,000. And the whole ordeal was caught on security cameras. The suspects had entered the premises wearing caps and surgical masks and used a door badge from an empty apartment in the building to get inside. The robbers had attempted to enter Mei Yan's apartment the day before when they showed up dressed as delivery men. She was asleep at the time and didn't answer the building's security guard to grant them entry. Mei Yan slammed her building's management company since she had told them not to let anyone inside without her permission. The social media star had almost 100,000 followers on Instagram and constantly delivered content that showed off her wealth. She shared pictures of her collection of designer handbags, expensive jewelry, luxury hotel stays, and in front of fancy sports cars. After the robbery, she posted an appeal to her followers to bring the culprits to justice and offered a $200,000 reward for information. Although she didn't know the culprits, they clearly targeted her. Home invasions like that don't just happen in Asia without a specific reason. Hong Kong has the 2nd highest concentration of millionaires in Asia, so there were plenty of other wealthy people to target. So why did the robbers choose Mei Yan as their target? We might not know for sure, but a general rule of thumb is that there's no upside to showing your wealth online, unless you're a scammy business guru promoting online courses. Number 4. BitBoy fights back. Crypto influencer Ben Armstrong live-streamed himself storming his former business partner's home to confront him about his alleged wrongdoing. Armstrong, who goes by the intimidating name BitBoy, captured himself arriving at Carlos Diaz's driveway. In the 40-minute livestream, Armstrong took the time to explain to his followers what was happening. He said Diaz was planning to snuff him out and had ties to the mafia in Houston. According to Armstrong, Diaz stole his Lamborghini, but Diaz told a different story. About a month before the incident, Armstrong's former company, BitBoy Crypto, ousted him and took his car to repay funds that he allegedly took from the company. The whole ordeal had gotten Armstrong to get extremely fired up, but after repeatedly saying that he wasn't scared of Diaz, which means he probably was, his former business partner snapped and called the police. Officers arrived on the scene where Armstrong admitted to possessing a weapon and was arrested and charged with intimidation. You have to wonder if, when Diaz found out what Armstrong was charged with, he was like, whatever. I wasn't even scared though. Why'd they say I was scared? No, I wasn't scared, but he didn't convince anyone. Anyway, Armstrong's mistress, who was waiting in a car nearby, because of course it's a mistress, she was charged with loitering and prowling. The cops took Armstrong back to the station where he spent 8 hours in jail before posting his $2,600 bond. Hey, BitBoy, there's probably a better way to confront a former business partner that doesn't involve you getting yourself arrested on a live stream. Number 3. Handpicked. Denver pastor of the online-only Victorious Grace Church, Eli Regalado, sold $3.4 million of God-backed, worthless crypto. So much of that is already problematic, right? Regalado and his wife Caitlin set up the Kingdom of Wealth Exchange and told their investors that their index coins were God-backed. The individual coins cost $1.50, but the Regalados told them that they were worth $10 each. Investors thought the coins were much more stable than other types of crypto, as the coins allegedly had an unparalleled risk-to-return ratio, making them an enticing opportunity for new and seasoned crypto enthusiasts. Regalado had said that God told him to bring crypto to his church, because God often has good ideas about finances. Before the pastor found God, he served time for several carjackings, but Regalado decided when he left prison to change his life and find a deeper sense of purpose. And that purpose meant bringing crypto to church. Regalado had told investors many lies, like telling them that there were 30 million index coins in circulation, which would have meant that the company had made $300 million from the coins. Unsurprisingly, investors found out that there was only $30,000 in the company's bank account. The couple pocketed $1.3 million, which funded their Range Rover, home renovations, luxury purses, and more. And it wasn't their first business venture together either. The Regalados had previously run Grace-Led Marketing, a marketing organization led by Grace, apparently. And to their credit, the pair were skilled marketers who knew how to appeal to the masses. They told investors that the profits they made would go towards helping widows and orphans, but they only helped themselves to the cash instead. Anyway, the Kingdom of Wealth Exchange had boasted that the cybersecurity firm Hacken had audited the company. However, it failed to mention that Hacken gave the organization a 0 out of 10. Eventually, the SEC shut down the crypto operation, making it impossible for investors to get their money back. The SEC then froze Regalado's assets, and the pair were sued for fraud, and a judge banned the couple from selling securities. Since their charges were civil and not criminal, they only faced fines rather than time in prison. Then, Regalado posted a 9-minute video where he told users that the charges against him and Caitlin were true. Regalado confessed that they took $1.3 million from index coins investments. He claimed they ran out of money, but that God would work a miracle in the financial sector. The couple said that they took God's word at face value, like you do, and sold massive amounts of crypto without a clear exit strategy. Regalado also pleaded with investors not to get angry with the SEC lawyers and be patient with them during the investigation. We can only imagine that the Regalados' lawyers face-palming the entire time they watched the viral video. Number 2. Sugar gone bad. Haley McNally abandoned her sugar daddy at a U2 concert so she could steal $50,000 from his hotel safe. McNally met an unnamed man who was in his 50s on Seeking Arrangements, a website that connects sugar daddies and babies. The two had met 5 weeks before the incident, and he soon became her sugar daddy. They arranged to spend the weekend at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas in exchange for $2,500. The man gave her the cash at the beginning of the trip, after which they spent the rest of the day at the pool before going out to dinner. McNally hung out with him and his friends the next day, then they headed to a casino, and after winning money gambling, she asked if she could put it in the man's hotel safe. So the man gave her the code, and when opened the safe, she saw $50,000 in cash that he kept there, as well as $7,000 in casino chips. You can probably see where this is headed. Later that night, the couple left the hotel and went to a U2 concert. While the victim was distracted by the music, McNally excused herself to use the bathroom. 15 minutes later, the man texted McNally to see where she was, but she didn't respond. After an hour, he called the hotel and asked them to put his room on lockdown. But it was too late. When he got back, he discovered she had emptied the safe and vamoosed. Surveillance footage caught McNally entering the hotel room around 30 minutes after saying she needed the bathroom. A few minutes later, she walked toward the elevator carrying multiple bags. Officers quickly tracked down McNally and arrested her. She said that during the concert, the victim was aggressive and touching her inappropriately, so she decided to leave. McNally also said that she went into the safe to get her stuff. However, police recovered $5,200 in casino chips and $11,700 in cash when they searched her apartment. She was charged with grand larceny and residential burglary. It's hard to tell who was the dumber person in this story. The guy for giving her the code to the safe, or McNally for taking the evidence home. Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this video, be sure to stay right here to find out how police found this guy because of his dumb posts on social media. Number 1. $1 million every week. Linda Andrade showed off her lavish lifestyle on social media, but broadcasting her massive expenses and displays of wealth raised suspicions for people on the web. Andrade's husband, Ricky Andrade, became a millionaire when he was 22 and founded 8 companies, including a tech company, a charity, and a nonprofit. The man, who once worked as a commercial dishwasher technician, claimed his success began when he ventured into affiliate marketing. In a July 2023 edition of Seeker's Time, Ricky talked how he had recently made $100,000 in one day. And while Ricky discussed some of the details of his finances, his wife Linda was busy spending everything he made. The couple had met when Linda joined the gym where Ricky worked. Since then, their income supposedly increased dramatically. Ricky claimed to have multiple revenue sources, including investments in real estate, stocks, and crypto. And Linda assumed the role of stay-at-home wife while Ricky handled their finances. And by handling finances, we mean spending finances. Linda posted about a week in her life on TikTok, where she bragged about the cash at her disposal. According to her video, Ricky had given her $1.4 million to spend that week. So she headed to numerous luxury stores where she spent $356,000 on things like Chanel purses. She also headed to a chocolate store and spent $7,200 on candy, which is like, hey, we like chocolate too, but not $7,000 worth. Then on the Wednesday of that week, she burned through $217,000, but didn't say on what. Many followers thought her stories were fake, especially since their income didn't match Linda's spending. If she had a weekly allowance of $1 million, Ricky would have to be a billionaire, which he said he wasn't. Also, if you follow this channel, you know that claiming you make your money from crypto and Forex probably means you're someone who's a fraud. So that's another strike. And even if they did have that kind of income, bragging about it online would make them easy targets for robberies. Usually when people are that wealthy, they don't need to flaunt it to feel good about themselves. You don't hear about Cuban running around bragging about his money. Look, at the end of the day, we don't know too much about these people's lives. How much they're worth, how they make their money, or what they spend it on. But we're pretty sure, and we think you're probably sure as well, that there's some phony baloney going on here. Ultimately, the moral of the story here is, don't brag about being wealthy online. There's nothing in it for you, and it never works out the way you hope. And besides, no one likes a bragger. What are all the things that could go wrong when people use social media? Let's get started with number 7. Thanks for all the proof. Levi Watson was talked to by the police about his possible role as a contraband dealer in a gang. Of course, Watson said he had no connection to the gang and claimed to be flat broke. Broke as a joke. Then, like the criminal mastermind he is, he posted pictures on social media that would make Tony Montana blush, completely contradicting his broke claim. Every brag was like a breadcrumb leading the authorities straight to his illicit empire. Because if you're going to break the law and lie to the police, you should always post it on social media. If you don't, how are people going to know how awesome you are? And how will they even know about your criminal empire? The police had a front row seat to Watson's ostentatious displays, gathering all the evidence they needed from his social media accounts. Watson's fatal flaw, aside from brain power, was his need for the limelight. Watson uploaded posts of himself with Rolexes, one post with a white Ferrari like he was making a calendar or something, and another post where he was literally bathing himself in money. The tub was filled with 20-pound notes, which is still a lot of money, but it's a bit underwhelming too. If you're bragging about how excessively wealthy you are, shouldn't it have 100-pound notes? Just saying. Also, that money was probably filthy, so there's that. Other brags included some watches on the gear stick of a Porsche Panamera with the caption asking you, personally, have seen 100,000. Politely, Watson says that if you hadn't, then it looks like that. Now you've seen it, thanks to Watson, and you can go about your day with your brain a bit fuller. Another picture showed Jamaican $1,000 bills and a gold watch with the caption, when you're sitting on over $250,000, but you tell them it's pennies. That way, if police weren't sure if Watson was lying about being flat broke, he let them know he was. The police were like, wait, you mean those bills aren't pennies? They were probably so confused. Watson also seemed to be unsure about what's a chair and what's not. Sitting on watches will break them, Levi. They're not chairs. The pictures became evidence of his shady dealings, basically doing all the police work that needed to be done. How was Watson possibly going to explain his posts while being flat broke? But instead of showing any sort of remorse, Watson bragged about his imminent prison sentence. Obviously, everyone thinks going to prison is cool, so why not brag about it? Watson also bragged about his notorious achievements in the contraband trade, painting himself as a larger-than-life anti-hero. His unapologetic demeanor fueled public outrage, making him both a target of scorn and a symbol of audacity in the face of justice. Watson, in a brazen move, released a song that glorified his criminal exploits. He also released a video for it that appears to follow all COVID safety protocols, because following all COVID safety protocols is pretty gangsta. Of course, he tried to have a music career. This guy is as dumb as he is cliche. The provocative tracks sparked heated debates, with critics questioning the morality of profiting from illegal activities. Apparently, these critics have never listened to a hip-hop track, if that's what they're stuck on. Ultimately, the authorities made significant progress in dismantling the contraband ring, leading to the arrest of 12 other individuals involved in the operation. Levi Watson was just one among the many apprehended, facing severe consequences for his role. Watson received a 7-year prison sentence, then bragged about that on social media as well. In another post, next to a picture of rapper Bobby Shmurda, Watson says that they gave him Shmurda years. So he smiled at the judge when he said 7. Shmurda was handed 7 years in prison for his crimes a few years back. Man, that judge was probably so embarrassed that Levi smiled at him when he got his sentence. So when Watson was sent to his prison cell, the judge probably drove home to his big house and felt so mad and humiliated. He probably looked at himself in the mirror and said something like, "Well, you won this round, Watson. You really showed me," and then slouched in his leather recliner and watched his big screen TV, wishing he had it all figured out like the guy he just sent to prison does. Number 6. Crashing for YouTube. Christopher and Kimberly Phelps from Yucaipa, California, are in hot water for their outrageous antics. These two brains are accused of causing car crashes on purpose, all in the name of scoring fraudulent insurance payouts. But here's where we learn what brain power truly is. The two had a YouTube channel called Blue3Go57, where over 160 videos were posted showcasing their intentional crashes. We're talking heart-stopping collisions, near misses, and hair-raising road rage incidents. These videos became a digital fingerprint of their deliberate actions. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department caught wind of the YouTube channel and teamed up with the California Department of Insurance to bring them to justice. It was a high-stakes investigation involving search warrants, countless hours of video analysis, and even social media investigation to track down more victims. That said, the investigation was probably set on easy mode, since the best place to hide video evidence of crimes is on YouTube. If it wasn't for their idiotic desire for fame, the Phelpses might have gotten away with it, but they just had to be YouTube stars, flaunting their crimes for all to see. And if their wild antics weren't enough, the Phelps couple also faced charges of child endangerment. They had their own innocent kid in the car during some of their reckless stunts, because it's always best to have a kid in the car when you're intentionally getting in accidents. How could that possibly go wrong, you know? Christopher had already been nabbed once before for similar charges. You'd think he would have learned his lesson, but nope. Now he and his partner in crime, Kimberly, are looking at a bunch of charges. It looks like the Phelpses ultimately got the fame they wanted and a free stay in a bigger house. Parents of the Year awards are likely on the way. Number 5. The Showoff Gang. Salvador and Ivan Ramirez, brothers from Long Beach, California, orchestrated a series of heists that had law enforcement on their toes. The duo, along with their gang, went on a crime spree that left a trail of disbelief. Accused of running a criminal empire, the Ramirez brothers faced an impressive number of charges. Over 100 crimes are attributed to their name. Ma and Pa Ramirez are probably so proud. The brothers struck fear into the hearts of the Indian community, renowned for their opulent gold jewelry worn during traditional rituals and cultural festivals. What made the Ramirez brothers true masters of their craft was their ability to vanish without a trace. Like ghosts, they left no DNA or fingerprints behind, always one step ahead of the law. Their planning and attention to detail meant that not a shred of evidence remained at the crime scenes. But while their crimes remained hidden, the Ramirez brothers couldn't resist the urge to brag online. They took to social media, flaunting their ill-gotten gains for the world to see. They posted pictures of exquisite watches, gleaming gold bars, and stacks of cash that would make anyone's heart skip a beat. Little did they know, these pictures would serve as their downfall, leading the authorities straight to their doorstep. The Ramirez brothers were as meticulous as they were brain dead. They scoured the internet for information, identifying families with common Indian surnames as potential targets. Their use of disposable mobile phones ensured their anonymity, while their elegant attire and luxury vehicles allowed them to blend seamlessly into the background. And their reign of crime knew no boundaries. They ventured far and wide, crisscrossing California and even leaving their mark in the neighboring state of Nevada. All in all, the burglary gang stole over $1 million in gold jewelry and were said to have been committing 2 burglaries a week before getting caught. It seems like a whole lot of work to just tell on yourself on social media, doesn't it? Number 4, shining light. Kevin Gaines Jr. was apprehended by Florida deputies after a chase that played out live on Instagram. The fugitive had been on the run for weeks, wanted on a string of charges, including a carjacking. A deputy had seen the car Gaines was believed to be driving at a residence in DeLand, Florida. As they closed in on their target, Gaines started live streaming his every move on Instagram because, hey, anything for views, right? The internet would totally think he was cool for the entire length of his stream, and then it would immediately forget it. Despite knowing Gaines' location, officers still had to move cautiously as Gaines was known to carry weapons and was said to be dangerous. Knowing his precise location inside the house could help keep everyone safe, but how could officers know where he was? As Gaines continued his live stream, the deputies shined a powerful spotlight through a window, and there was the light captured in the background of the live stream. Now deputies knew exactly where he was. Undeterred by the presence of friends and relatives who tried to protect Gaines, the police stormed the house, ready to bring the chase to an end. Gaines' friends attempted to deceive the officers, claiming he wasn't inside, and one woman even went so far as to bet $100 that Gaines wasn't there. Like the cop was going to say, "Oh, you're on," or, "Oh, wow, he must not really be here if she's willing to put money down on it. Yeah, we should go." Eventually, Gaines emerged from the house, and the deputies wasted no time in arresting him. Gaines had a history of run-ins with the law, such as having been arrested for carjacking. Well, he faced additional charges, which included grand theft auto, resisting a law enforcement officer, and fleeing law enforcement. Number 3, Lance Armstronging. Andy Airy was a cyclist from Bristol in the UK. Airy's life took a jolting detour during his daily commute in 2015 when he was knocked off his bike. The driver quickly admitted fault, leaving the insurance company QBE to cover the damages. But as the wheels of suspicion began to turn, QBE engaged the services of the formidable law firm Berrymans, Lace and Maurer, confusingly known as BLM. QBE wanted to dig deeper into Airy's claims, particularly focusing on his alleged knee injury. The fraud intelligence team at BLM delved into Airy's social media presence and uncovered a series of posts both before and after the accident. Astonishingly, just before undergoing a medical examination to support his claim in March 2016, Airy shared Strava activities showcasing his running, cycling, and even participation in triathlons. The most damning evidence was a recorded bike ride on the very day of his medical examination. You're probably thinking, wow, all of that on a bum knee. Impressive. Why is this hero in trouble? Sorry, Airy has played you for the fool as well. His knee injury was fake. For those unfamiliar, Strava is a popular fitness tracking app used by athletes and fitness enthusiasts to record their activities, including running, cycling, and swimming. Users can share their accomplishments and progress with the Strava community. When confronted with this undeniable proof, Airy's own medical expert acknowledged that the road traffic collision couldn't have caused his alleged knee injury. He said it was more likely due to a pre-existing degenerative condition, probably the same one found in his brain. Realizing the weight of the evidence against him, Airy withdrew his claim for damage. However, BLM continued to pursue Airy, leading to a trial in Bristol County Court. The judge ruled that Airy's intention was to associate his knee injury with the 2015 collision, labeling his actions as fundamentally dishonest. Consequently, Airy was ordered to pay the defendant's costs, amounting to around £40,000. The impact of this case extended beyond his personal penalty. QBE, the insurer, managed to save approximately £145,000 in damages and legal expenses. So thank heavens for that. We're sure they passed those savings right on to the consumer. Number 2, caught in a snap. In an incredibly stupid sequence of events, Christopher Wallace, and no, not that Christopher Wallace, sealed his own fate with a series of major blunders that led the police straight to him. With a manhunt underway, the Somerset County Sheriff's Office was determined to track down Wallace, who was wanted in connection with the burglary. Wallace, in a move that can only be described as dumb, decided to broadcast his location to the world through Snapchat. First, he posted a Snapchat message proudly announcing his return to his home in Fairfield, Maine, while being aware of the search, because he's dumb. That post, unsurprisingly, didn't go unnoticed. Quick-thinking citizens citizens who spotted Wallace's announcement wasted no time in tipping off authorities. So, the officers stormed Wallace's residence, and as they searched the premises, a new Snapchat message came in. It was Wallace, being slick now that the police were in the same house as he was, posting that he was heading to a different location to throw police off so he could make another escape. Just kidding, he actually revealed his hiding spot in the post, which was in a cabinet in the kitchen. The cops, already actively searching the house, found him by his feet, which were sticking out of one of the cabinets. So Christopher got himself arrested, which seems like it was going to be inevitable. Christopher's friend, Erica Hall, was also arrested for telling police she hadn't seen him in weeks while he was hiding in the kitchen behind her. Number 1. Fairy tale fraud. Amanda Zeminski was a nurse at South Shore Physicians in Staten Island. During her tenure at the medical practice, Zeminski hatched an ingenious plan to amass a fortune. Exploiting her access to personal information, Zeminski stole patients' identities, targeting the vulnerable and unsuspecting elderly. Amanda teamed up with her boyfriend, Clyde C-Money CEO Forteau, a name likely given to him by another CEO of a Fortune 500 company, we're sure. And together, they embarked on a daring spree of extravagant spending. Imagine a life filled with lavish jewelry, courtside seats at electrifying sports events, and even a romantic rendezvous in the magical realm of Disney World. They were living the dream afforded to them by the hard work of identity theft. Facebook became their personal gallery of opulence. C-Money CEO Forteau proudly boasted about his proximity to Jay-Z during a Jets game and his position in front of the late Aaron Hernandez, the infamous former New England Patriot tight end, at Game 6 of the NBA semifinals. Zeminski also proudly displayed her dazzling engagement ring, a symbol of their love and their love of identity theft, given to her at the enchanting Cinderella's castle. Their escapades eventually got the attention of law enforcement. In a turn of events, investigators uncovered a trail of evidence connecting Zeminski and Forteau to their scheme, all from their social media bragging. Surprise, surprise. Their victims, the unsuspecting elderly people, had their lives turned upside down. Their bank accounts were emptied, fraudulent credit cards were opened in their names, and even their tax refunds were stolen through bogus income tax returns. The duo's ill-gotten gains amounted to $675,000. As fate would have it, Zeminski's reign of deception met a sudden end when she was unceremoniously terminated from her job for lying about how many hours she worked. The truth began unraveling, and the police closed on the couple's extravagant facade. Forteau's sleek BMW 7 Series that he worked so hard to steal through fraud became a treasure trove of incriminating evidence. Police seized over 50 credit cards and a cache of stolen and forged driver's licenses. During the investigation, the police also seized a collection of Rolex watches adorned with dazzling jewels, a money clip engraved with Forteau's nickname, as well as patient files and a substantial amount of cash. Facing the consequences of their crimes, Zeminski, Forteau, and their cohorts are on trial. Charges including identity theft, enterprise corruption, and a litany of other criminal counts hang over their heads. If convicted, they could be looking at a substantial prison sentence, fitting end to their once glamorous lives of crime and ill-gotten opulence. Hey, at least Forteau is still a CEO, right? Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comment section what you'd rather have: free flights for life or free eating out for life.